Thank you, Mel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. It is my pleasure today to act as the MC for you today in the Training Officers Consortium 65th Annual Distinguished Service Awards. We have a number of different exciting awards to present to you today. We're very excited. As I mentioned, my name is Steve Dabrowski. I am part of TOC Executive Board, and I was also a part of the awards committee, and I worked closely with Shanda Adams, who you will meet shortly as well, who is instrumental in putting this together. However, to get us kicked off, I would like to introduce you to the most popular person in the presenters round right now, and that would be Trina Petty. Trina Petty is joining us today, and she is the 2020-2021 Training Officers Consortium Executive Board Chair. So Trina, I would like to turn it over to you. And for those of you that are presenting, if you're going to have a slide transition, I'll be handling that for you as well. So just hit Steve or next slide and I'll take care of that for you. Trina. Trina.
Hey, Trina, we're not hearing you. Here you go. Here she comes.
Here, okay, I'll start over. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to TOC's 65th Annual Distinguished Service Award Ceremony. But as Steve has stated, this is our first virtual award ceremony. So we thank you for joining us today. My name is Trina Petty, and I have the distinct honor of serving as the TOC Chair for the 2020-2021 program year. When I submitted my name to the board early this year to run as chair, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought the year would be full of the challenges and uncertainties we are facing. But what I do know is that the Training Officers Consortium Executive Board is ready to face those challenges, and we want you to be right here with us as a registrant. Our program committee has put together an awesome virtual learning program. If you want to know more about it, check out our September newsletter or reach out to any person on the TOC board. I welcome each of you again to our virtual award ceremony today. Now on to the program. So I have the distinct pleasure of turning the mic over now to Ellen Roderick, our TOC Secretary, who will be making the presentation of our Spencer Logan Leadership Award. Ellen?
Ellen, you're unmuted now. Please.
There you go, Ellen.
Unmute.
Thank you, Trina. The Spencer Logan Leadership Award is presented to a senior trainer who has throughout his or her career made innovations in the field of federal human resources development. The awardee has initiated actions that have had an impact beyond one's organization. She or he has contributed substantially to TOC, and through one's ethics, dedication, and leadership, served as a role model for the training community. On behalf of the TOC board, I am pleased to say that TOC's own Karen Hoffman, lead training officer at the Federal Trade Commission, has far exceeded those qualifications. And we are pleased to present the Spencer Logan Leadership Award to her. She has 26 years in federal service, all in the training and development field, and 19 years on the TOC board with 5 years as TOC chair. Her full citation appears in the online awards program booklet. May I introduce Karen Hoffman.
Thank you, Ellen. I am truly honored to receive this award from the Training Officers Consortium. I want to first let you all know that I've begun 20 years ago going to the TOC meetings just to learn and meet other folks in the organization, never knowing that I would end up leading it one day. And as I look back over the years, as I served as on the TOC consecutive board, just contributing my time and my talents has really afforded me the opportunity to learn and grow and to become the learning professional that I've become today. And with that said, just hearing about our great leaders throughout history, who just with one act of service changed the dynamics of the world. So for me to know that TOC recognizes and values my contributions as a leader is very rewarding and one of my greatest professional achievements, especially now seeing that the new generation of learning professionals are continuing to build on the legacy to make TOC thrive, which is in with our theme, the Workforce 2021, Lighting the Torch, Carrying the Flame. And so next, I just want to thank the TOC board and the registrants who since retired have deposited those nuggets of wisdom, their friendship, respect, and love, and the current TOC executive board for their votes of confidence in me over the years and for their insight and wisdom, which has been invaluable to me. So in closing, just never be afraid to share your knowledge, because in the end you will see it grow into a legacy for the overall good of the person and, more importantly, the organization. And my supervisor has always told me what you do is never wasted. So I want to thank you all again. I love you all very much, and I appreciate and accept this prestigious Spencer Logan Award. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and congratulations to you. You are well deserving of the award. Our next presentation, you're welcome. Our next presentation will be a special recognition award, which will be presented to our past chair, Rhonda Carter. Rhonda served as the TOC chair for the last 3 years, 2017 through 2020. She has also served on the TOC board in other capacities, and she also served as in the past as the annual institute chair. When I became a registrant of TOC, Rhonda was the annual institute chair at that time. Rhonda has graciously gave me some pointers as she turned over her chair leadership role, and I am truly grateful. Thank you, Rhonda, for your leadership, and hopefully you had a knock at your door with your gift yesterday afternoon. So I am presenting Rhonda formally with her gift, and hopefully she will talk about it. And Rhonda, at this time, you can talk about your, I'm turning it over to you for your presentation. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, TOC, and yes, I received the beautiful dish garden yesterday. Trina knows that I'm a plant flower type of girl, so I really appreciate the thought. But thank you so much for the recognition today. When I raised my hand in 2017 to run for chair, I must admit, I didn't really know what to expect. I had been a part of the board for many years, but serving as chair was a completely different experience. Over the past 3 years, I have grown in my leadership journey, learned more about myself, and had an awesome opportunity to meet and work with so many of you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the TOC Executive Board for their unwavering support, and a special thank you to Ellen and Stephanie, who were a part of every decision made, served as a sounding board, and stood in for me when I could not be present. As Trina stated earlier, my final months as chair were a little stressful, but through grace and great people around me, we made it. 2020 is definitely not the year we expected, but it is the year we have. So choosing to grow and learn from the opportunities that have been presented has been a rewarding experience. While I am no longer the chair, I continue to serve as an active role on the board, and look forward to sharing with you some new things on the horizon for TOC. So thank you, everyone, for this honor, and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Rhonda. And I look forward to working with you and picking your brain more as chair of the Training Officers Consortium for the coming year. The next presentation is another special recognition award, and this award is being presented to Mr. Kevin Elliott. Kevin joined TOC and attended his first institute in Ocean City, Maryland in April 2007. His first training assignment was to join TOC's professional development organization to learn and network with DC's finest HR professionals and training. Kevin recalls as a first-timer how everyone was especially welcoming, and TOC registrants are truly the same today. He was amazed of how open our registrants were to sharing best practices, listening to ideas, and most importantly, how everyone was friendly.
Your microphone has been turned on.
Commission for 12 years and recently retired in February 2020. He has served on the TOC program committee off and on since 2010, oftentimes streamlining the ranking process for the committee. So the TOC board would like to present Kevin with a special recognition award. And Kevin, we thank you for the service that you gave to TOC. I'm turning the floor over to Kevin to accept his award.
Actually, I think I will be doing the accepting for Kevin. This is Steve Dabrowski again, and thank you very much. Congratulations to the award winners, the Spencer Logan Award winner Karen, Rhonda for your acknowledgement of great service as the chair, and Kevin as your continued great service for TOC and all that you do for everything TOC. It is my distinct honor to continue the conversation with our awards and move you into the actual Distinguished Service Awards. Before I get going into the actual awards, I do want to thank you all for understanding and appreciating the difficulty of the logistics and trying to work it out. So if there's a hiccup here and there, we appreciate your patience, and we will try to work it as best we can. We know how difficult this is to coordinate, so we appreciate your patience. Now, if I could dive into the Distinguished Award Service Award Ceremony, the 65th annual. We started back in 1955. It is truly a pleasure to be here in this seat broadcasting. I wish it was in person, so we have to deal with, as Rhonda said, what we have to deal with. So we're all getting through. I appreciate all the effort and time that everyone has put into the awards and the work that you do for the government. And today is a day about enjoying that and really shining the light on some of the things that are awesome in our government and the awesome people that we have serving our government and our citizenry. It is my pleasure. So I would like to start with the first award category, and in this award category, this is for leadership development. The Leadership Development Award is presented to an individual, team, or agency that has made significant accomplishments in leadership development. Leadership development can encompass any number of developmental processes, including the following areas: individual development planning, executive, management, and/or supervisory development, 360-degree assessment and feedback, succession planning, mentoring, and coaching. I am very pleased today to tell you that we have 2 award winners today in this category in particular, and it is my pleasure to bring up the first award winner. And that award winner, just as an FYI, you have the program available for download. If you'd like to read the entire brochure, please read the program. You have that as a download. In the resource side, we'll make that available, as Mel just did on the bottom left under the award program. My first award in the Leadership Development Award category goes to the Security and Exchange Commission for the Leadership and Development Award for the College in Leadership and Team Development. Their program title was Preparing an Agency to Lead and Manage Well in a Virtual Environment. I'm not going to steal their thunder, but some of the things that are extremely impressive about this award is the instant transformation of its leadership development program to 100% virtual classes within an extremely short amount of time. Something I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. I would like to invite the folks from SEC, Shelby and Jeff, if you mind please saying a couple words.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Steve. And we are so excited. I'm trying to share my video here. I don't know if I'm... Nope. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. No, we are so excited to be here, and we thank the Training Officers Consortium for the honor of this award, but also for all of your efforts to pull together a virtual version of this award ceremony so that we can all be together and hear all the wonderful things that are going on in training development across the federal government. So as Steve had said, the project that we're highlighting today really was kind of an all-hands-on-deck team effort to support the SEC's leaders in our shift to a 100% telework environment due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we had the great fortune of having our wonderful chairman, Jay Clayton, who really set the stage for all of our leaders to place the priorities squarely on the employees and our health and well-being and that of our families. So, so we really couldn't have asked for a safer, more reassuring environment to operate in. But this was obviously new for our agency, and most agencies moving to this space. So, so we knew that our managers would need guidance and tools early on. So that's the project we'll be presenting today. But first, I wanted to just introduce.
Go ahead, Shelby. I'll move this on for you.
One more. There we go. Just wanted to introduce you quickly to our team. Again, this is kind of an all-hands-on-deck type of effort. So most of the individuals that we're recognizing today are formally part of the SEC's College of Leadership Development, our wonderful faculty and program managers, Jeff, Linda, Junius, Tynese, Marianne, and Mark, who are, Marianne and Mark are our contract staff with the College of Leadership Development, and they are very much a part of our family, and they work side by side with us, and all together we really pulled together on this effort. In addition, we have the wonderful assistance of our internal executive coaches at the SEC, Christelle and Mark, who are not formally part of the College of Leadership Development, but who were absolutely critical to developing formal classroom training that really pulled together all of the options and all the different things that we were able to offer our leaders during this time. So it's just an amazing, wonderful group of people that really came together quickly in this space. So there's a bunch of stuff on this slide. I'm going to try to speed through it real quick, but I do want to provide some background just to kind of give a sense for how much actually changed in this space. So the SEC has about 4,500 employees, 900 managers. We sit at headquarters and 11 regional offices. And the College of Leadership Development historically has supported every single one of those people. Like, we believe that you lead from wherever you are in the agency. So we have programs for aspiring leaders and high-level technical experts who are leading without authority, specific programs for women in leadership, new managers, senior executives, intact teams. We also offer electives throughout the year on emerging leadership topics. We have a foundational course, our Leader as Coach course, that is required of all managers. And we've done all of this primarily in the classroom, the physical space. So on the evening of March 9th, when it was announced that we would move to full-time telework first thing the next day, we all came together very quickly to figure out how we could, A, present our leaders with some tools and guidance that would help them in this new space, both leading virtually and leading in this uncertain time, as well as how are we going to deliver all of these things in the virtual environment. So starting with the first item on the slide here, the first thing we did was work with one of our vendors to create a foundational managing in a virtual environment large-scale webinar. So as I'm sure all of you recognize, at this point in time in March through July is where we were focusing for this period. You probably saw an awful lot of free webinars and various people just sharing wonderful resources on how to manage in a virtual environment. Those were all over the place, wonderful content. But we know at the SEC that our audience really appreciates content that recognizes some of the work that they do, some of the unique challenges that they have. So we worked with one of our trusted vendors that worked with the SEC for quite some time, is intimately familiar with the work that we do. And we curated all of that content together, and we created just a 1-hour course that we could roll out to our managers that would just kind of help them get their feet under them, just a very foundational of how to lead starting now. And we were able to roll that course out within 10 days of going into the telework space. So it was the Thursday following the Tuesday we went into this space. And the very first offering of this course, we had over 150 of our managers register for it. We received overwhelming feedback, so overwhelming that we decided we would offer 2 more offerings to supervisors. And then we also created a version of this course for our non-supervisors and offered that 3 times. So within a month, we had over 551 staff at the SEC had attended that class. And again, really just the foundational kind of the air mass that drops down when the airplane loses pressure, really just kind of get them on their feet. In addition to that, and kind of on a rolling basis, we also created a new virtual team building class for organizations who were struggling to connect without that opportunity for face-to-face interaction in the office. We converted our entire SEC Aspiring Leaders program to a virtual format. This is a multi-session, multi-month program. It's a cohort program where we already had a group of people who were registered and ready to go when we went into this space. We were able to convert all of that to virtual so that they did not lose that opportunity to participate in that program. We also created 6 new specific courses on how to manage in this environment that went deeper into some of the challenges we knew our managers were having. So things like feedback in times of uncertainty and stress, delegation for virtual ownership and engagement, managing virtual accountability and workflow, simple strategies to engage employees in a virtual environment. So all of these things, just very specific topics that we knew that our leaders would have challenges with or would need help with. We also increased our advertisement of our SkillSoft online resources. So the SEC has a variety of self-paced learning, so courses, books, articles, videos. We know, you all know, that there were various circumstances that people had working from home, and many people couldn't log into a live opportunity for their own development, and they needed the opportunity to be able to pause it while they attended to other things they had going on at home, or even do it outside of work hours. So those asynchronous opportunities really were, another place that we could support our leaders. And then we also created these wonderful small group coaching sessions for our supervisors. This is where our internal executive coaches came together. We had both of them on each of these sessions. They were very small group. They were capped at 10 participants, and it allowed managers to come in and really bring any deep challenges that they were having, things that they weren't going to, maybe too complex to get into, and maybe the larger webinars that we had. And it gave them an opportunity to receive guidance from our executive coaches, as well as additional opportunities to talk to their fellow managers. And all of this, of course, was done 100% virtually, whereas during this period last year, that March through July timeframe, only 19% of our participants participated in our programs virtually. So this was a huge change for the SEC during this time. So with regard to the impact that we had, so almost 1,500 staff participated in these various offerings. That was a 69% increase over the participation level during that same period last year. So people really just jumped at this opportunity to get support during this time that was just so very different. At the end of July, one of our our other OHR organizations, our strategy group, did a pulse survey of all of our supervisors to understand how we were doing supporting them with all of our OHR services during since the pandemic had started. And we were able to learn that 95% of our supervisors found this training useful in adapting to the full-time telework environment. 87% of the supervisors indicated that they were receiving exactly as much or more guidance than they needed to manage virtually. 65% of the supervisors indicated that their experience had improved since March when we first went into this space. And then finally, the majority of supervisors indicated that the effectiveness of their own work and their team's work had increased during the time since April when we initially surveyed them. So big impact, big changes. Recognize I'm running low on time here. Best practices and lessons learned from this time. Obviously, it was, again, a very very quick time and a very all hands on deck type of effort. But we utilized our vendors. So ask and task those vendors. We had courses coming up that were already scheduled with vendors, and we were able to go to them and say, hey, is there an opportunity for us to kind of shift the focus of this so that we can make sure we cover the differences that managers might encounter in the virtual environment, or can we offer this virtually, whereas we were going to offer it in person, and they were happy to do that. We extended our internal staff, and we reached out to other experts throughout OHR and our trusted partners to help here. We leveraged other organizations, again, in the gathering of data at the beginning of this period and at the end to figure out what we needed to do and how well we did that, which brings me to that big orange block, which I think is the most critical piece here. It's the understanding the various needs that people had. We had this opportunity in April where we asked our managers, what is that you anticipate having challenges with during this time? And we were able to learn things like, how do I give feedback not only virtually, but during this time of uncertainty and stress? We still need to give feedback that, we still need to do our work, but obviously people are under an extreme amount of stress, and how do I give that feedback, or do I give that at all? And we knew that that they needed that, and so we were able to offer specific content that really addressed the things that were top of mind for them. And then finally, meeting our target audiences where they were with content and delivery. Given the various ways that we offered these courses and large-scale webinars, small group trainings, the asynchronous learning, we offered something for everyone, regardless of what kind of situations they had. If they were looking to learn more about how to manage in a virtual environment or get some support, we had something for everyone. And I know I sped through that, so if you have any questions, you want to learn more about what we did in this space or anything that we do with regard to leadership development at the SEC, our TOC member, our contact is Jeff Abbott, faculty at the College of Leadership Development. His number and his email are there. Please feel free to reach out to him or me. And thank you again to the TOC for the honor of this award and for everyone for joining today.
Great. Thank you so much, Shelby. I really appreciate it. Congratulations to you and your team at SEC. Some really fantastic work in a very, very challenging environment. So if I continue the conversation, I'm going to go right on into DISA. And in DISA is the recipient of the Leadership Development Award as well. However, let me tell you a little bit about what the DISA team has done. This is the Workforce Services and Development Group. And underneath that team, they have created a supervisory symposium. I'm not going to steal their thunder. I will let them talk and give the specifics regarding it, but just something that really stuck out. It really is the supervisor symposium held twice annually, and it developed their practical expertise through interactive and relevant sessions. And from that, I will let you take the stage and talk a little bit about what you guys did. Chris?
Hello, everybody. Hi, this is Tom Quast. I'm the gentleman on the far left, and thank you, Steve. Thank you, TOC, and really appreciate this award. We're very honored and humbled, and I'll give you a brief overview of it and what went into it and how successful it has been for our agency. Okay, so you see the staff there. There's about there's 6 of us going into it, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes. This is an agency-wide initiative that requires a lot of work behind the scenes and help from all sorts of subject matter experts. You can go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so I'll give you some background. It goes back to about 2018. We came up with some ideas. Some of the data was that we had some gaps with the supervisory leadership, and this included the viewpoint survey. We talked to our EEO team, and the common threads where there was just the gaps between the supervisor and the rank and file individual contributor. And so we did some research, and we looked at, well, what does DISA do to prepare these supervisors? So we also talked to the supervisors as well, and we did focus groups, and we talked to them, and a lot of them said they didn't feel exactly prepared going into supervisor role, and that they're kind of thrown into a position, and then it's a guessing game that they find the right network or the leader to help them out, but they want something that's continually that's going to continuously develop them. So we got involved. We have the passion for adult learning style training, and we wanted to implement something where it would create some sort of gathering for the supervisors, a community practice where they could join together and learn from each other and learn directly from the subject matter experts. So voila, we developed this supervisor symposium, a one-day iteration where they come together kind of like a convention style. It was initially on site going back to 2019 and early this year before COVID, and then we moved seamlessly to a virtual environment. Can you go to the next slide, please? So these are some of the ingredients to success. So we want to keep it an adult learning style environment where they're not going in and watching a PowerPoint slide, but they are interacting with each other. They're learning from the subject matter expert on what the topic is of the day, and we try to keep it current. So I mentioned the focus groups we do with supervisors. So we use the qualitative data. We also use quantitative data, looking at viewpoints and finding gaps. And we try to keep it nuanced. So I'll give you just an overview of the day. So it started out about 8:30 in the morning with motivator. We've had people. We're near the Naval Academy, so we have a lot of resources, retired flag officers or leadership experts. So they come over, they offer us a 30 to 45-minute kickoff and gets their on it, and then sections where the individual or the supervisor can choose, and it's a very topic du jour. They can go to this one on, hey, I need to learn more about time and attendance or the time and attendance system, or I need conflict resolution, or I want to work with the EEO team. They do role playing in the EEO, or I want to drive be able to communicate better with my team. So we have the strategic comms people work with them. So they can choose, they can come and go, and then during breaks they interact with each other, and we develop that community of practice and that esprit de corps amongst supervisors. And as I mentioned earlier, we did when COVID happened, we were about to have our own session, I believe in April, and we turned around and developed a technology virtual environment where there is that breakout session, and instead of having it one day, we spread it out over several days so they can pick and choose as they go along. Next slide, please. So these are some of the data that's been going on that we've collected in May, 3-day training day. Like I said, we moved to the virtual environment, have one in May and July, and in October as well. And we're using what we call our DISA collaborative service. So, but we are slowly using newer technology, and we are moving to the Microsoft Team That's what we'll use, and we will have, we're getting the workforce cameras, so we will have those. So maybe next year, if we get an award, you'll be able to see our face next year. But we are making that adjustment, and we have that flexibility to move to the virtual environment. But I just want to thank my team and the agency. I have to mention, not just inside our workforce development division that it has done this. It requires a lot of heavy lifting and contribution and the passion that all parts of the agency have and want to contribute and share their knowledge. And I can tell you that the data showing that supervisory leadership is improving, whether that's directly contributed to this initiative. We would like to say yes, so we'll take that. But so far so good. People really look forward to this event. So I want to thank you guys, my team as well, and TOC for considering and awarding this. Appreciate it. Over to you guys.
Great. Since that is the second of the Leadership Development Award, I would like to give the two teams from SEC and DISA some applause. So for those that are attending, please go up to the person with the person raising the hand up, and down there, applause is one option. So let's show them congratulations through the applause. Excellent. Moving on to the next category. The next category that TOC has identified is the Innovation Award. The Innovation Award is presented to an individual, team, or agency for a creative new approach, a training program, or developmental activity that employs non-traditional methods, tools, or technology to achieve desired performance outcomes. And this year, the Innovation Award, we gave one this year to the TOC people that submitted it, and that would go to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs Acquisition Academy. In the VAAA, they created a program called the VAAA Acquisition Internship School Mini Mission. They recognized that there was a significant skill gap identified with the technical skill of developing acquisition documents. And from there, I will let Chris tell you all about this.
It's my honor to be here today. It's the team to accept this award. The Academy is actually comprised of 5 different business units, and we focus on providing holistic technical and professional training to the federal acquisition and other federal government workforce members. So I want you to get a chance, if you could go to the next slide, Steve. This is the team that worked on the mini mission. And so definitely want to recognize their creativity in developing, designing, and implementing our mini missions. So Christina, Daniel, Andrea, Michael, and Jordan was the program lead on the program. And as you mentioned, Steve, I think we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Just to give you a little bit of background, one of the specific units of the Academy is the Acquisition Intern Program. And this is an 18-month training program that the VA has partnered with our field contracting offices. And so we provide formal classroom training as well as a robust on-the-job training with contracting offices across the United States. So part of our training is to combine both the technical and the professional competencies needed to be federal contracting professionals. For those of you who may be familiar, there's mandatory certification training, and we provide level 1 and 2, and that's multiple training classes. And we put this together in a learning environment which incorporates real-world scenarios. But as you mentioned, 2 years ago, we were still identifying a significant skill gap with the technical skills involved in actually developing acquisition documents inside the VA's contracting writing system, which is known as ECMS. And this is pretty substantial because interns need to develop documents inside our contracting writing system like all day, every day. So it was a pretty significant skill gap. And so what we determined was that we needed to provide a way for additional opportunities for our interns to practice using their new systems learning with their new technical contracting knowledge. And we found that interns weren't able to assemble all of that together at the end of our classroom training and ultimately be successful in their first job rotation. Next slide, please. And so the solution. So we looked at different mechanisms. We already have formal classroom training that was being provided. So what could we put together to help put the glue together to get the pieces to stick? And that was a 60-minute or less, these little packages of self-guided activities, which really focused on one specific acquisition document at a time. So what we did is we developed these pre-packaged 1-hour tools that provide information and the opportunity to practice to develop in the contract writing system, and with a specific target of closing that and narrowing that gap. And the mini missions are all set up in 3 parts, a 3-step process. First is the discovery, which is kind of a detailed job aid that talks about the purpose of the document, the timing of the document in the acquisition process. For those of you that are familiar or not familiar, federal acquisition can be complicated and sometimes a long process and sometimes, rather short. But this talked about where we were in that process. It gave them step-by-step on how to create this actual document. And the important thing was it also gave an example of what does good look like? And then that way interns could, identify and see the knowledge and the information that they needed. And of course, the mini mission provides an opportunity to do. So you actually have to, as you're working through this scenario on your own, you're given an opportunity to do this, and you're using a VA-specific scenario. So something that happens in the real life of day-to-day contracting VA contracting specialist. So, and then the last step is a reflection opportunity, and this is our opportunity that we provided to review the accuracy and the completeness of the document. Remember, we gave them what does good look like, but we also talk about the characteristics of the process, and we found that this is really when some of the best practices were solidified within the process. Next slide, Steve. So our outcome. So what we found was that we do a formal, about an 8-week training block before we go out onto our OJT, and we connect all of that training, those 8 weeks, into a capstone project. So before we started mini missions, 0 of our learners were able to independently complete that capstone class, that capstone experience. After implementation, 95% of our interns were able to independently complete the capstone experience. So that was a very good impact and combat and feedback for us. But more importantly, at the end of every OJT session with our field partners, we asked them for 2 key measures, and one is can the intern efficiently and effectively develop and create documents in our system. And as you can see on the screen, we went from low 4 scores to the last time we got feedback, we're at 4.63 and 5 out of a 5-point scale. And then were they accurate and were they prepared? Was the information labeled correctly in the briefcase? Again, we went from middle low 4 scores to 5-point score for of there. So we're really happy to see that our interns are thriving out in their environment. Next slide. So I wanted to just give you, this is kind of what our little mini mission looked like. So now that we've implemented these, we've developed multiples of them, and we put them on the VA learning management system, and we've actually offered them out to our legacy workforce. So it's not even just available to the interns. It's available to all of VA workforce. They can use them as job aids. They can use them as quick reminders, and supervisors are given these to help maybe somebody out in the legacy who needs a little bit of a refresher. So on the slide are our 2 points of contact, Jordan and Christina. So if you have any questions and you want some more feedback on those, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to share. Thanks again for the award.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, and congratulations to you and your entire team. Just like we did for the leadership development folks that have won an award, let's do this for the innovation. If you could show some applause, please, by selecting the applause underneath the person with the arm up at the top. Nice job and congratulations, sincerely. The next award, the award category that we'd like to give is for the Training Design and Development Award. This is presented and given to an individual, team, or agency with significant accomplishments in the design and development of a training program and curriculum. This year the award goes to the U.S. Department of Labor, the Veterans Employment Training Service, and in this, the program title is the National Veterans Training Institute, NVTI, Core Curriculum Development. The NVTI overhauls its mandated curriculum as well as the technological infrastructure for thousands of students, impacting thousands of students. And I would like to welcome
TOC
the Department of Labor,
award.
Maria, I
it is
believe
something
you
that
are
we
up.
honor and that we take very seriously. The National Veterans Training Institute, next slide, has a long storied history, and for about 35 years, VETS has taken the intent of Congress to provide required training to our grant staff in the American Job Centers. We moved that and developed it into a multifaceted training institute. And for the last 4 years, Management Concepts has been our vendor in leading this effort. And we thank them for their professionalism and shared vision. Continue. At MBTI, a few things that we're particularly proud of that really led to the receipt of this award is we take the feedback from our participants seriously, and we use that to improve our curriculum. Each of the courses provide an exit survey, and we take the feedback and the input that is provided to be sure that we're constantly updating and improving the curriculum that we have. In addition to listening, we also communicate. We share the latest information in the workforce space through our webinars and through our newsletters. And then, of course, remaining agile. It's important now more than ever before that in these days of social distance that we're able to continue to provide training to our students. And then ultimately, the better that we prepare the professionals to provide veteran employment services, the better our veterans are served. At MBTI, we train those grant employees who provide employment services to veterans. And so that is our specialty. That is what the curriculum at MBTI is all based on. And through all of this year, we have been working to ensure that that curriculum is up to date, that it is engaging, and especially at a time when we had to move all our courses into a virtual setting, it has really been a much more successful than we would have imagined. The attendees that are participating, they tell us that some of the great feedback that they have given us is telling us that they didn't expect a virtual course. They had never taken one, and they didn't expect it to be so engaging. So we're very fortunate to have good, strong partners in Management Concepts in helping us to operate NVTI. And then really just finally, I just wanted to give my contact information. So anyone that has any questions about MBTI, the courses that we offer, the curriculum, please be sure to reach out to us. And again, thank you very much to TOC and everyone for this award.
Maria, congratulations again on the award, and to you and your team on the fantastic work and the service that you brought. If I could ask you a round of applause for the Department of Labor and Maria and the team that put the work together to serve our vets. Excuse me while I drop my applause down. Again, I do want to thank you. I know that there's a little hiccups here and there, and I appreciate your patience as we get through this, so thank you so much for doing that. I do want to bring up the next category of the awards, and the next category of the awards, we have 2 winners this year, and they are specifically on Learning Measurement and Analytics Award. This is presented to an individual, team, or agency that's made significant accomplishments implementing the analysis of learning process models and some systems to measure the learning interventions, whether the program is effective, and some of the organizational outcomes. The very first one that I would like to award is to the U.S. Department of Commerce, a former home of mine, and the U.S. Census Bureau. U.S. Census Bureau, with the Decennial Data Collection Training Branch, has created the U.S. Census Decennial Training Evaluation Program. And I know we have Jay on the line, so Jay, I'm not going to steal any of your thunder. Take it away, my friend.
Okay, fantastic. Bring it a little bit closer to me.
Jay, could you turn up your volume a little bit, please? We're not getting a lot of your sound.
Who's also on staff, and Denise.
Yes, we are all trainers and professionals, and dealing with it on a dime is what we do for a living.
I just wanted to give some background on our mission and the context in which we need to deliver training. So I think most everybody knows the 2020 census, the decennial census in general, happens once every 10 years. Our agency goes from about 100 staff that are working on the decennial census in the middle of the decade up to about 300,000 across the country. And these are our neighbors and others who are helping us complete the decennial census, specifically the door knocking that's required in order to gather all of their responses from the community. So we go up to about 250 to 300,000 staff members in a very short amount of time. In order to do that, you can imagine we have to get training down to those folks through an organization that's very immature as far as the amount of time in service. We have grade 13s. If you're a member of the federal service, you know grade 13 is typically when you get your first management position. Maybe you're managing 3, 5, 6 people. Our grade 13 is managing 3,000 to 5,000. They're managing the equivalent of entire agencies throughout a very short period of time, but still need to manage through that, manage and train through that large organization. So in past censuses, really the first 23 censuses of the United States history, we've done this by a lecture style. A subject matter expert trains a manager trains a supervisor trains the lowest level supervisor, and then the supervisor trains those people who are actually going to knock on the doors. So as you can see, as I'm sure you can imagine, there's a lot of information lost in that chain, and a lot of places where things can go wrong, information can get mixed up. And the biggest problem that we really have with that is just the bias from the trainers up and down that chain. So we have a huge number of our employees are on a 6 to 10 week term. So as you can imagine, we can't really behave as if these are professional trainers or even professional Census Bureau workers. So we need to take as much of that bias out of the system as we possibly can. If we hired maybe a retired school teacher who is comfortable and has the skills to lead a training, that's great, but that's going to be a lot different than somebody who doesn't have those skills. Maybe we have plenty of examples of 18 and 19-year-old supervisors who don't have any work experience, and they're in front of a class trying to proctor a class. So we're trying to take as much of that bias out of the system as possible. So this is the 24 census, and we have most of our training now online through a learning management system, and we are able to provide a consistent training across all of our 250,000 field workers. This is, as you can imagine, very important as far as data quality and not having any type of regional or geographic, socioeconomic, demographic biases or discrepancies across the country. Although we never anticipated a pandemic during the census, as it continues to feel like a movie for us. Our census day was April 1, 2020, which was at or near the height of the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic. That was our census day. So, you know, we have one census day every 10 years, and it happened to directly overlap with this pandemic. But this is an unintended benefit of having this type of training online and having the employees able to take this from their home. It was sort of by accident, but very social distancing friendly. People take this from their home or from any type of mobile device. We were very fortunate to have this in place. I don't know how we would have completed the census if we had to put everybody in a room and do lecture-style training. So we were able to get some unintended benefits out of this program. So that's just some context on the program that we put in place. Denise and Nelson, I'll turn it over to you guys, and they're going to talk about how we're measuring performance of the program. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you, Jay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nelson As Jay alluded to, is really a big endeavor. 2020 census in compared to 2010 is really a total overhaul from a training standpoint. Thank you, TOC, and we are really excited, to receive this award. Two of our key training responsibility for the training branch are to ensure that effective decennial training programs are consistent and continuously deployed to prepare field staff to perform their job after they completed their training, and to ensure the alignment of training programs with learning, performance, and mission accomplishment. Let me go on to the next slide. Therefore, following the industry best practice in training evaluations, the Kirkpatrick 4 levels of evaluation was implemented to provide a comprehensive framework and a holistic evaluation process for the decennial training programs. And accordingly, Census selected PPG to develop the blended training evaluation plans and surveys, analyze and interpret the training data, and create training evaluation reports. In preparation for the actual 2020 decennial census, early training evaluation efforts began in 2016 census tests and followed by 2018 end-to-end census tests. These training evaluation results, from the census test really help us, provide us valuable insights for training, content revision, and training enhancement. For each of the census tests and the 2020 decennial census, training evaluation were conducted, during the online training, immediately after classroom training, and after trainees have completed or at least started working in the field for a few weeks. Towards the end of the operation, post-operation debriefing questionnaires, were administered as well. So I'm going to pass the time to Denise. She's going to dive in deeper to share with you selected survey results and the key performance indicator.
Thank you, Nelson. Thanks for that. I just want to start off by saying that with the leadership provided by Jay and Nelson, that champions collecting the actionable data to show and improve the impact of training on the census operation, we found successes and areas to address that would ensure a smoother 2020 census effort. And as Jay mentioned, this was really quite fortuitous that Census had already made the change to provide consistency in their training through online training, a combination of online training and in-class training, because that lent itself well for them to pivot to a virtual environment as needed for the unusual situation we find ourselves in for the 2020 census with COVID. During the, as Nelson also mentioned, this is something that census prepares for years in advance and collects that data to see where things are going well, where things could be improved, so that when the big push to train individuals across the country would be effective and as smooth as possible. And so, as you mentioned, there are multiple levels of evaluation data that are collected, both after online training and after classroom, or that was then switched to virtual training for the classroom training. But in addition to that, they collected mid-operation data, data after the operation was over through the form of a debrief questionnaire. And all of that data was then married to, including testing data, and that was all married to performance data of the field personnel. So some of the valuable insights that we found were during the 2018 end-to-end test, the online training component was found to present valuable content that built participants' confidence in their ability to complete the tasks of their positions. However, as much as 50% of the participants experienced technical issues with completing the online portion of the training, and equally expressed not having adequate technical support to address these issues. Subsequently, the training evaluation reports recommended increasing the rigor of the technical testing of the online training modules in order to reduce delays for participants. And the recommendation was taken, and during the 2020 training operations, even with the significant increase in the number of people taking the online training, the percent of participants experiencing technical issues with online training dropped to 20%. So that was a great improvement. By collecting that data, we were able to identify where the issues were that the online training was having problems, and that's what really helped our participants to improve the training for the next go-round. We also, one of the parts of the process of the census training is to provide coached observations. And we wanted to collect the information that would help us determine whether these coached observations were actually improving the performance of the field personnel. So in order to do that, what we did was we took a look at who is it that received a coached observation and how did they perform in comparison to those who scored similarly on their tests but did not receive a coached observation. And so we looked at specifically 3 key performance indicators. This is for non-response follow-up personnel, which what their position requires them to do is to go out and actually knock on doors of citizens and of people in America who did not respond to the census. And what they would do is knock on the door and see if they could help them to complete their census if they had not submitted one. They were measured on how many surveys, how many census surveys they were able to complete per refusal. So how many times did it take for them to knock on doors before they would get a member of a family to help complete the census for that dwelling. The number of surveys completed per attempt. And then there was another key performance indicator, which was the percentage of surveys that only received a population count, but not much more. So they, that is actually you're not going to get more information from that dwelling. You're only going to be able to get a population count. And so in that particular case, we'd like those numbers to not be as high because we want full information on the census. And so what we found was that those individuals who were provided with coached observations had improved performance by 8 to 20% in these KPIs over those that did not receive coached observations. And the dashboards that we have displayed here show a comparison of the KPI performance for these two groups. Observed enumerators with operational data and scores that needed improvement had higher average performance in surveys completed per attempt and surveys completed per refusal than the enumerators who had poor scores but no follow-up observations. These scores are still lower than the overall average for these KPIs, but they still demonstrated a positive effect of the observation process. The comparison of percentage of surveys with population count, as I mentioned, was improved for those observed enumerators, as a lower average for this KPI is what is desirable. While still higher than the overall average, observed enumerators were closer to their passing counterparts with an average of 10.29% compared to non-observed with an average of 12.25%. There's little to no change in the KPI of surveys completed per hour. We also looked at the efficiency, and that was something that did not have great variance. But that's also because of the number of people who would be considered completing surveys based on their population count, based on grabbing population count. So I just want to say in closing that the Census Bureau was able to roll out effective training to over 400,000 newly hired field staff. That includes address canvassers, update leave personnel, non-response follow-up. These are individuals that are trained around the country, and training started back in 2016 all the way up to current day for the decennial training program. Even in the midst of this challenging pandemic, the Census Bureau has been able to successfully deploy massive amounts of training across the United States successfully. And so congratulations to Jay and Nelson and the Decennial Data Collection Training Branch on this well-deserved award.
Great. Thank you so much, Denise, as well. Jay and Nelson, congratulations. Thank you so much for a very important initiative this year. This decennial census is extremely important. We know the work that you do helps to enable that in everything, and we really need your help, and we appreciate your work towards making us more effective in that. So thank you very much. It is my distinct pleasure to take you to the last award, who is a close friend of mine, Dave Parks. Dave, you're going to be talking to us about the award that we're going to give to the Department of Treasury for the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And this is still under the Learning Measurement and Analytics Award. And that award is for the OCC's agency-wide IDP dashboard. The IDPs of the OCC are accessible now through a dashboard which they've created, which provides leaders of managers and leaders of the organization with aggregated data that support the career development of all their employees. Thank you so much. Dave, if you don't mind, please, and I understand you're going to be driving.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Steve. I'm David Parks, a Leadership and Career Development Specialist in the OCC Leadership Institute at the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And I'm very honored to accept this award on behalf of the OCC and really the great work of my colleagues that came before me in building such a top-flight TOC award-winning IDP program in the past. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump into this presentation. So just a little bit about the OCC in case you're not familiar with us and the work that we do in our mission. But our mission really is to ensure that national banks and the federal savings associations operate in a safe and sound manner, provide fair access to financial services, treat customers fairly, and comply with applicable laws and regulations. So we supervise approximately 1,200 institutions across the U.S. We've got we've got offices in 60 different cities, and we have a total of 87 different supervisory offices and locations. And as far as our employee population, we have around 3,700 employees, 66% of those being bank examiners. So before I jump into showing you a few looks at the dashboard with some screenshots, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the value that our IDP dashboard brings to the agency and really the problem that it addresses. So the OCC's IDP dashboard provides quick access, aggregated information, and side-by-side looks to enable managers to spend more time on meaningful career development conversations with employees and less time on gathering up forms, reformatting data, and time-consuming unassisted analysis. So the IDP dashboard, it's really much more than a simple repository of IDP forms. It summarizes data to provide leaders with an overview of the strengths, the growth areas, the competencies, the leadership aspirations, willingness to relocate, and really the goals for all employees, the development goals for all employees that they lead. And over the past 4 years, the OCC's, as I mentioned, the TOC award-winning IDP program has experienced significant growth. In 2016, 67% of our employees submitted IDPs. Today, we've got 96% submitting IDPs. And really, as more and more attention has been placed on individual development across the agency, the interest in looking at aggregated IDP data has really grown. And although the OCC Leadership Institute has been providing for quite a while one-time aggregated agency and top-level business reports, really since 2016, the program didn't have a mechanism to provide information to lower levels of the organization and directly to managers. So in an organization with large spans of control, up to 40 employees in some locations, managers were desperately in need of a tool that would help them to view and analyze the development needs of their direct and indirect reports collectively. So to address the need, we designed and developed and implemented OCC's first of its kind IDP interactive dashboard. The dashboard uses row-level security in combination with a connection to Treasury's HR information system to constrain manager views to just their direct and indirect employees' IDP data. The dashboard also integrates complementary HR position and organizational data to provide a complete and nearly real-time experience to users. So this is a look at how our current OCC, our previous and current OCC IDP solution. We do have a goal to move this into our new integrated talent management system, but it's been a very effective process for the past number of years. So employees and managers create, sign, and submit the employee's IDP via a PDF form. Once the manager signs the form, it's submitted automatically to a repository, and then a signed copy is automatically routed back to the employee. From the repository, our IT department will extract the data into Excel and then post it to SharePoint for us to use for reporting. And as I mentioned previously, we use this data to provide one-time annual reports to leadership at the end of the IDP planning phase. However, now with the creation of the IDP dashboard, the OCC leaders can access the dashboard and see aggregated IDP data for the employees under them. So just want to show you a few excerpts from our dashboard, just to give you a flavor for what it provides. So strengths and growth areas, as I mentioned, are featured. There's a special dashboard that we created for a program that tracks what we call the minors of our pre-commissioned examiners and what they really want to make their area of focus for their technical training. We have status information that provides the overall count for our whole organization, as well as breakouts by individual lines of business. We've got aspiration to the next leadership level. Got the data element we actually collect through our IDP process. Total development hours broken out by the various pay bands that we have at the OCC. We also have this same information on individuals that is available for managers, and senior level managers and leaders. We also have willingness to relocate information, and then everything that the employee put into their action plan and what they said they'd like to accomplish during the given development year. And then we have more breakout information on which lines of business actually submitted. And then finally, we also provide information on for special parts of our organization, various parts of our organization on a map to really show, and we incorporate the aspiration to the next leadership level as well as the willingness to relocate with other key HR elements.
You have been muted.
To help managers really do succession planning from this data. So then, just in closing, wanted to share a little bit of feedback that we've received on our dashboard. So since implementing the IDP dashboard, we've experienced just from one year to the next an 11% increase in IDP submissions. And here on the screen is an unprompted testimonial from one of our OCC managers who was very appreciative of the database, of the dashboard, I should say, and just estimates that he's saving at least 2 hours just gathering up information, and this is really helping him to prepare for discussions with his staff and just making them much more successful. And as far as usage, as far as we've got 1,902 different dashboards on our Tableau server, and this is the 28th most used, placing in the top 1.5% for the OCC, which is significant considering many of these other dashboards have been in place for many years. And then the IDP dashboard really does promote that data-driven decision-making. We're now able to quickly identify common learning needs to bring courses in-house. We've actually, in the Leadership Institute, used information from the IDP to do this thing, and now we're able to do it much faster. With the dashboard, this analysis can be done also at the business unit or manager level rather than having to coordinate with the IDP program office. So then finally, just tracking the number of planned development hours via the dashboard provides evidence that employees are meeting OCC's required 40 hours of professional development each year, which is something that so it provides us that mechanism to really track compliance on our policy as well. So just wanted to say thank you. We really do appreciate this award and the honor, and thank you again for all the great work that you do in this virtual TOC, which is actually a really great one, I think, because we got to see presentations from each organization. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you very much, Dave, and congratulations, OCC. If I could take a second and make sure that we give the proper applause to the Learning Measurement and Analytics Award in your applause meter. Congratulations again. This takes us to the end of the development programs. I just want to close out this portion by just recognizing the magnitude of greatness that we've just represented today, from Security Exchange Commission all the way through the Defense Information Systems Agency, the Department of Veterans Affairs and Veterans Affairs Acquisition Academy, the Vets Training Initiative through the Department of Labor, the Census Bureau, partnerships with PTG and management concepts under labor. And then Dave, of course, all the great work that you did with the OCC. Continue on serving and being just awesome. And thank you all for everything that you do. I hope you got an appreciation for just the really great difference that we're making for our country and for our agencies and for our citizens. So thank you very much. And I'm going to introduce Shanda Adams. Shanda Adams, I will ask you to come on and take us through the next part of the session.
Thank you so much, Steve. I hope my camera is on. Hi, everybody in the virtual world. So I get the honor of rounding out the awards presentation with the announcement of our TOC
Your microphone
Scholar.
has been turned on.
Every year our organization, TOC, presents a scholarship gift to the University of the District of Columbia Foundation. This scholarship gift gives the opportunity for outstanding freshmen to have financial assistance for their education needs. And all of the outstanding freshmen are a graduate from the DC Public Schools, DC Public High Schools. We've been doing this for years because we at TOC believe in giving back to our community and learning and development. So this year we have a wonderful recipient of our TOC scholarship in Stephanie Moran. And I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce you to Stephanie Moran at the University of the District of Columbia and have her go ahead and come on and talk a little bit about this opportunity. Stephanie?
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Moran, an alum of Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and I am honored to have been selected as the recipient of the 2020-2021 TOC Scholarship. Your donation is a monumental step towards my college career. Growing up in a less privileged community has helped me to see the importance of education and further my perception of this world and the different types of people within it. I plan to use my college career to create more meaningful goals, not just in the work field, but as a person. Every opportunity is a chain reaction that will open more doors in my life. So once again, thank you and have a blessed year.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. We really do wish you well with your education, with the endeavors that you're taking on. I know this is a difficult year for our students, everything being very virtual, but we know you can do well, and we are happy to be able to support you. So thank you so much for joining us today to accept this opportunity. Now I just want to transition over to a thank you of another type. And as the Awards and Scholarship Chair, I have the honor to have these award ceremonies each year. This is my third, but it's the first one that has been done virtually. So it was a challenge for sure, but I am very pleased it has gone well. And it's thanks to many, many people behind the scenes. First of all, I do want to thank our awards committee, those that you see here, Rhonda Carter, Steve Dabrowski, LaMarsha Williams, Claire Goodrich, and Ellen Roderick. These 5 individuals stepped up to the plate to help me actually review all of the submissions of nominations. And this year, our submissions were actually blind and independently rated. So all information was pulled from the submission to note the agency or person. And each individual awards committee member had a rating system using creativity and impact. So all of the information was combined, and the awards that you heard from today, the awards that you heard today, were selected because they had the highest ranking scores from those independent ratings. So it's It took a little bit of time and effort for each of these individuals, but they stepped up and put that effort in without hesitation. So thank you very much to each one of you for giving us the opportunity to award or recognize these wonderful programs throughout the federal service. And I do also want to thank our producer, Mel Chambers. You heard from her in the very beginning, and for many of you, you may have had an opportunity to chat with her behind the scenes as she helped you get on or worked with your audio. For many of us, our video, we couldn't have performed this feat of a virtual ceremony without her assistance. So thank you very much, Mel. And finally, for Steve, I just want to say thank you for stepping in and emceeing today. Your virtual presence is amazing, and your thoughtfulness behind the scenes is very appreciative. Thank you for all of your support. So I couldn't not go without having a few words of thanks for this program. This has been our first virtual event. This is normally a live one. We do a lot of webinars every year, but we usually have the opportunity to come together for these types of events. And this year is going to be a little bit different for us. As Trina said in the very beginning, we couldn't have imagined starting this year off in a virtual world and not being able to actually see each other face to face. So I do appreciate every one of you being very active and supportive on the chat, giving congratulations to your fellow trainers associations, and just making this a wonderful community for us to be a part of. So many thanks to all of you. With that, though, I do want to turn it back over to our program chair, Trina, so she can give us some final closing remarks. She does have a few things to say before we head out. Trina?
Thank you, Shanda, and thank you for the first and successful virtual program. My hats go off to you. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's virtual award ceremony. It's not too late to join us as a registrant. As I stated early on, we're planning for an awesome virtual program year with lots of learning opportunities, networking, and resources. Check out our website at www.trainingofficers.org for additional information, including our registration costs. Some things that we're doing are not at cost, but we can't pull off the entire program year with everything being free. So please check us out at the website, and you'll find out how much things will cost. We hope that you'll be joining the TOC family, and we hope to see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe. Thanks again.